amount of butter, let's be honest.
There's no rocket. I shall steal this.
New cast on and...
Have you got the... I'd love to look at the...
What?
That's really nice.
It's upstairs somewhere. But I've got it, the warband's there.
It's not upstairs.
Where is it? What have you done with it?
It's behind here. Yum. It's behind here.
I was just looking for... Did you hide my warband? Well, I'm really not... I don't know why that's in there now. Shall I show you what's in my bag? Look, I've got a little elephant sweet.
Welcome
Oh, that was loud.
to episode 105.
105.
That's correct, isn't it?
I believe so.
Good. Well, I hope
I
that's
don't think
right.
we said 105 last time.
No.
I think that's...
It is 105. It's down there.
Ah.
I'm such a fool.
Show notes. Genius.
Why did I not think to look? What a show we have in store, don't we?
We do.
You know when it's going to be a serious show because there's 4 drinks in front of us. Of which
should
there
see.
is.
We have... Dan has a frothy coffee.
Yes.
And then I have some real English proper tea.
And then
And
I
then we
have
both
a
have
peppermint tea.
some peppermint.
There's a peppermint tea. Lovely.
So we're fully liquidised. That's wrong.
Yesterday, I had possibly the worst cup of coffee I've ever had in my
It
life.
wasn't very good, and the whole buying experience as well was a bit traumatic.
It was extremely traumatic. But the most frustrating thing about it was the fact that the cup leaked all over me.
Yeah, and you were in the car driving.
The one thing that you need from a motorway services, it's efficiency, isn't it? You pay a premium for it in the first place. So
And
the
it was
least...
a Costa. It was a Costa. There was like, I think we counted them. There was something like 5 Costa coffee little shop things at these services, weren't there?
They've clearly cornered the market
There
at
was
motorway services.
2 in the petrol station on the way out, and I think there was 3 inside.
What's disappointing about this is they've cornered the market of motorway services. They claim to sell coffee. All of the people who work there have a shirt on that says barista.
I'm going to buy
can
you
tell
one.
I can tell you that none of them are. Because the coffee that I was served was similar to the coffees which I get served from Costa on a regular basis. Well, it's not that regular because we barely go in.
Yeah.
But whenever I do get
It's
one...
really an emergency situation
Yeah,
when you buy
I just
coffee from a
needed it.
Costa. It just needs a bit of caffeine.
Yeah. Well, it was like that coffee from the 1980s. You know, where it's like really milky.
It was very milky.
Oh,
I mean, I saw
vile.
her put the milk in and I
was vile.
thought, gosh, that's a lot of milk going in there.
The positive from this whole situation is I get better coffee at home than I do in any coffee shop.
You do, because you're just fussy.
No, I'm not fussy. I like a flat white. No, they don't serve you flat white.
It's not a flat white, no.
So
it's not.
if you're going to put flat
It's like
white up
a milky coffee. It's not a flat white.
It should say coffee from the 80s that your grandma drank. And then I'd go, great, you did. You nailed it.
So yes,
again.
yes, I'll have one of those.
And the funniest thing of all was, I did go into a Costa in Northallerton and went
Oh, you
and
did,
got,
and it was brilliant.
and she served it to perfection. So I went back up afterwards.
You told her.
And the poor lady thought I was coming to complain.
Yeah.
And
She
I
was
said,
a young girl, wasn't she?
Yeah. I said, no. And I was really honest. I said, I go into Costa's and the coffee I get is terrible. And that was superb.
Yeah.
And it was great.
It's all down to the person.
It is.
It's all down to the person who makes it, I
I
think.
firmly
Quality
believe...
of the coffee, obviously, is a
Well-
thing. But I think it's more how it's made.
It is. It is. Yes, you know, if it was terrible, the coffee, you know, the beans in the first place, it's not going to be very nice. But, you know, if you've got okay beans and you've got someone who knows what they're doing, you're away. Such a shame you can't drink coffee anymore.
I know, I love coffee, but I just can't drink it. My stomach can't take it anymore. I haven't had coffee in
Yes.
a couple of years, probably.
Yeah. It's probably good, though.
I just smell yours when you're making it. It's lovely.
But
Yeah.
what a show we have in store, because just hold everything. You know, Kay has delivered the most wonderful series of the Bakery Bears Pudding Club.
That's very kind.
Well, it's true. It's been wonderful.
You've had lots of lovely things to eat.
It's not finished yet, don't you worry. And seriously though, it's the inspiration behind the series. producing puddings inspired by mums and grandmas.
Right, yes.
That's what you've done for me. Today's episode to absolute perfection. And honestly, it is the greatest thing that you've made me in ages.
Amazing.
And
Bryony loved it too, which is always a plus.
Now, some people could take that as that you don't make very nice things very often. Well, you do. You make lovely things all the time. Point being, it's unbelievably delicious.
And I couldn't have any of that either.
But you did. You did.
Well, it's got chocolate on the top, and I can't eat chocolate either. It
has the same effect.
That's
that
another
the coffee
thing
has.
that triggers my IBS. So
Yeah.
I can't eat chocolate, but I took off the chocolate top
And you liked it.
and ate the rest just so I can at least try the rest of it, and it was delicious.
So tune in later for that. Honestly, just go and make this. Ladies and gentlemen, Kay has had her hair done again.
Oh, don't. I thought I was going to need Valium in that. I've never had Valium, but I would imagine it would be a nice experience.
Well, it would.
Yeah, and I could have done with something sat in that chair. I honestly thought I'd be a couple of hours. The last time I had my hair done, when I went from blonde highlights, which we won't talk about, to the dark.
I think you're kind of saying when you went from blonde highlights, from utterly ruined to beautiful.
Utterly decimated hair to...
Honestly, the body in this now.
Looking okay.
It's unbelievable.
I spent 4 hours. Well, no, it was longer because I had to go twice. Because
Yeah.
I had to have a patch test and blah, blah. And I needed my roots doing. It's been about 11, 12 weeks. I needed my roots doing because I have got some grey, and I'm not one of those people yet, unfortunately, that says that they're going to embrace the grey. No, not going there. All credit to people who do, but I'm just not in that place. So I thought, right, I'll just book an appointment to have my roots done. I thought that can't be more than a couple of hours, surely. Because last time I had to have this treatment put on top to neutralise the bleach that was in my hair, and that took ages, and then I had to have the dye on top. So I thought, right, 2 hours. 3 full hours I was in there.
Ludicrous.
And it cost a lot more than I expected it to be, and she burnt my scalp with the hairdryer. Oh my God. I did tell her, I said, that's really burning my scalp, but by then my scalp was just throbbing and on fire. And
There's 2 things I wanted to pick up on this. The first one is, why is it 99% of hairdressers, that is the type of experience that you will end up having? Because I've had that at the hairdressers which ruined your hair, and I still go to. It's like, it's hit and miss. And to be fair, all the hairdressers that I've gone into, it has been hit and miss. You might get, it might be a great experience one time.
It is hit and miss.
Why is it so hit and miss? Why is it... To be fair though, was it hit and miss with you because both times you've not enjoyed the experience?
No, I never really enjoy the experience. I've never enjoyed the experience of having my hair done. Those huge mirrors, looking at yourself constantly, and other people staring at you who are having their hair done, or looking in their mirror and looking at you. And
the question you have to ask yourself is, who are those mirrors there for?
Well, they're there for the hairdressers, aren't they?
When was the last time you saw a hairdresser looking in the mirror back at your hair and then cutting it?
Well, no, they don't look in the mirror, but it's you.
A
hairdresser doesn't need a big mirror in front of them, because they're looking at you in reality, not in the mirror. You're quite right. So they must be there for the benefit of us. Well, I'd rather they not be there.
Are they there?
To be honest.
Are they there because they've just always been there and people think...
No, well, I think they must think, we need people to see themselves, to see if they're happy with their hair.
But how many people say... You could do that at the end, couldn't you?
You could just have one mirror, couldn't you? But then I suppose...
Or unveil it.
There might be something halfway through your haircut and you might say, could you do that a bit shorter, or could you, whatever.
Has that happened to you before when you've been...
No.
It's a mystery.
I did hear one woman say that, though. She was having her hair cut and she said something along the lines of, can you take a bit more off that side or something.
Right. So, maybe it is a ladies' thing. But the other thing that I wanted to segue into from, talking about the hairdresser and talking about the bad experiences is anxiety. And the amount of anxiety that caused you.
It was massive, and I felt all right. In the morning, I said to you I felt a bit antsy, didn't I?
Yeah.
I felt a bit antsy, and I walked into town because I thought that'll clear my mind a bit, and exercise is always good for things like that. So I walked into town, and that didn't really help, to be honest. I still felt antsy. I think it was at the point where you know, I walked it, you're fine, you know, I've met her before, we knew what needed doing, sat down, started putting the dye on. That took a long time. And then instead of just doing my roots, she said, oh, I'm going to take it all the way through. And I thought, right, okay, that's fine. But that, you know, she didn't say to me, is that okay with you? It will cost more, obviously, because it's more dye. She never said that.
She just did it.
Just did it.
And then slapped the bill down.
And then, you know, when she said how much it was, I was like, oh, what can you do? I've got to pay it now. You know, I didn't expect just roots to cost that much. But effectively, you know, it was a full dye job again. And that took ages. Just getting the dye on took ages. And then I was sat there waiting for ages while it was on. It just seemed like a long time that the dye was on. Once she'd cut it and my hair was wet, I just felt like saying, look, I'm just going to leave, because I couldn't stand the thought of sitting in the chair another hour while she dried my hair.
And I think the point which I really wanted to make about all this is, and you know, I can't speak through experience because I've never suffered from it in the way that you do. What I do know though is I've had an anxiety. No, I think I probably had an anxiety issue a couple of times, because there was that time I nearly fainted.
Yeah, there was a reason for that though.
Yeah, well, it was health-related diagnoses.
Yeah, I just told him he got cancer, so you know it's...
No.
No, it wasn't actually. He hadn't said that for definite.
I got told that on my own.
Yeah, it was before that, when we'd gone to find out what this issue was.
Well, it was also then after that too.
Not thinking it was cancer.
It was also then after that too when they told me about that. That
it's the shock, isn't it?
It is. The point that I'm trying to make is the anxiety that I felt, specifically when I was told more about this one, and you know, the anxiety I was feeling was related to the seriousness of the operation, was exactly the same as the other time that I experienced anxiety. And that was when I had to put my head into a brace and have it scanned prior to having that operation done.
No, this was unconnected to his cancer.
Totally unconnected. You know, so you know, there's no cancer, there's no serious issues. All I had to do was put my head into a brace and be pushed into an MRI machine and be scanned. So
well, they're tiny, aren't they? I've never been in one, but they're small, aren't they?
Yeah. Nothing bad's going to happen. Yeah, really loud. Nothing bad's going to happen. You know, you're just going to go in and that's going to happen. I had a full-on panic anxiety attack. And what saw me through was shutting my eyes and imagine if Kay was there. I'm such a wuss. But the reason why I'm saying all this is, what I've experienced is, in that example there that I've just given you, sticking my head in there, I suffered exactly the same level of anxiety as when I was told about this really bad operation. So I know that when you have anxiety attacks, whether you've just been given shocking, terrible news,
or whether I'm just sat in the hairdresser,
it's the same.
It is the same.
You would do anything, wouldn't you, to not feel that way?
Oh yeah, but there's no point fighting it, because
it's there.
It will never. You've got, the only way of dealing with it, I've found, is just to embrace it and say, right, you know, I know this is going to be horrible, but let's just do it, and I'm going to do it, you know. But if you ran away from it, that's worse, you know. It's better to just sit there, because I know now that even if I feel antsy and panicky, nothing bad is going to happen to me, and you just have to tell yourself that all right, I'm going to feel horrible for the next couple of hours, but it's, you know, nothing bad is going to happen. I'm just going to feel horrible. So just telling yourself that.
It's such an interesting condition, I think, because, you know, what it fires off, and you refer to this a lot, and it's sort of fun when you do, it fires off that prehistoric, that sort of Ayla.
Fight or flight, isn't it? That's the whole thing with anxiety. It's the fight or flight reaction. And it can be the strangest, tiniest little thing that sets it off. But the reaction that you have is exactly the same as if you were running away. Chased by a cave lion. Yes. Yeah, that's exactly why we've got that ability within us, because what your body does is your body releases a ton of adrenaline because it's getting ready to either run from something, cortisone as well, or you know, I think it's a combination of these things. So your body is full of these things, but the thing is, if you're not in that situation where you are actually physically running for your life, then it's just in your body, you know, and it causes all these physical symptoms, and it dissipates quite quickly. You know, the adrenaline dissipates fairly quickly. So if you know anyone
who suffers from anxiety, that just gives you like a small window into what they're going through. And, you know, I've only got a greater understanding of it through, you know, experiencing secondhand, you know, the things that you experience.
Yeah, and poor Dan, you know, all that day when I came back from the hairdressers, I was just in such a horrible mood. I was in such a horrible mood. You know, and he's the one that sort of gets the rear end of that.
Life happens, doesn't it?
And you don't want to be like that, but like I say, sometimes it just happens, and I mean, it's so silly, isn't it? But you know, like Dan said, it's anything that can trigger these thoughts. You know, so you shouldn't. You know, if you might think to yourself, oh gosh, that person's so. What are they like? You know, what are they like for getting so worked up about that? But if you've never experienced it, then honestly, you know, it's like Dan said, it is just like you feel, you know, like there's a tiger over there ready to pounce. That's just kind of what it feels like.
And in a way,
fear and
in a way, it's quite cool that, you know, all these thousands of years later, that we still have the same bodily effects as what we did all those years ago.
Yeah.
Summer is here. Isn't it?
Well.
Scorcher.
Let's not talk about the weather.
No, let's not. I think what we should talk about is your songs of the summer. Are there any songs which make you think of the summer? And the whole reason why I said this was just 2-3 weeks ago, I felt the need to create a new playlist.
Oh, right.
And it was more of a summery playlist because I was finding that the music that I was playing didn't feel very summery. And it made me put together a little playlist, you know, with more summery stuff on. Right. For me, summer songs that I would never listen to in the winter, which I would listen to in the summer, is Summer Breeze by the Isley Brothers. Oh, it's very literal then, is it, this list? It's got to have summer or hot or sun in the title. Summer Nights from Greece. It is very literal. Now I'm going to get less literal. Call Me by Spania. Oh, right, okay. I wouldn't listen to that in the winter. Right. And the reason why I wouldn't is because growing up, it was always on in the summer on the radio and stuff. Okay. And I really like that song. Yeah. So Call Me, definitely. Really Anything by Anastasia. Oh, right. I love Anastasia. And do you know what I think it is? I think it's that One Day in Your Life video, which is on a beach with an amazing sandcastle. Right. And I think because that sort of... That video is so in my mind whenever I hear an Anastasia song. That's what makes me associate it with the summer. But you have no summer songs. Not really, no. I don't think so. Do you have any summer songs? Any songs that you just like to listen to in the summer? I'd love to know what they are. Now, I just want to show you this really quickly because I really like Lego. I didn't know if you knew that or not. Did you know that? That's a revelation to everybody, I know. Well, I feel like I need to reaffirm my love of Lego because recently... They're very cute, aren't they, these ones? They're very cute. Recently, I haven't been loving Lego quite so much. And I realised that it was because it's not the Lego on its own that I love. I'm not someone who just gets out a box of Lego and likes building stuff. Bryony does. She does. But I'm not so bothered about that. What I love is I love building things, and I do love the building things of ships that mean something to me. It's the association. Or objects. It is. It is. And that's been an interesting process for me to sort of go through, to realise that. Now, I'm particularly excited about Lego, more excited than I think I've ever been. In fact, that's a fact. I'm more excited now about Lego than I've ever been. We've been saving up for you, haven't we? We have. And that's specifically because of some of the sets which are coming out from Solo, a Star Wars story. And it's not just our love of the film. I brought these two down because these are two speeders, right? That's a speeder from years... That's the original speeder, isn't it? Speeder from years ago. Yeah. Look at the build quality on it. Yeah, yeah. Look at the build quality on this. There's more curved and smooth. There's more specific bricks. A lot more printed bricks, less stickers. Look at how they've changed. Yeah. Look at how much more detailed that is. You know, it's just superb. The change, really... Look at the cute little guns. I know. The change is just unbelievable. And that's the reason why I think I'm particularly excited about these new ranges that are just coming out. Only a
it's next week, 1st of August. All of the new Harry Potter ones come out on the 1st here in the UK. Here in the UK, and the solo ones come out on the 1st. So we're having a little trip to the Lego shop, aren't we?
Woohoo! That's summer for us.
Yeah.
Summer for us is building a Lego set. You're always like,
I like to watch them, but I don't join in or anything. But it's nice to see your excitement, both of Dan and Bryony love it. Yeah.
Bryony's going to get a Harry Potter set and I'll get a Star Wars set. And I said to Bryony, can I help you build yours? And she went, So I just had to put it back out there that my love of Lego is undying. In fact, it's renewed. And on that happy note, I think it's time that we found out, Kay Jones, what's on your needles?
Yay! If I show you this tiny little bit of yarn, oh, hang on, it's tangled around that needle, which I'll talk about in a second. Look at this tiny bit of yarn. Do you know what I'm talking about when I show you this little bit of yarn?
Knitting?
This is 8 grams. Did I say 8 or 9 grams when I weighed it? I think it was 8, wasn't it? 8 grams of yarn I've got left. And it's my Stash Buster shawl. I only picked this back up again the night before last. And I just thought, you know what, I want to finish that shawl and I'm just going to work on it. I did put a little, I've used one of these copper bulb ones, so I couldn't see it very well. But it's here. Can you see? You can barely see it. That's very clever using one of those markers, isn't it? Because you can't see it. But it's here. And so I've knit this much. So this is how big it is now, look. And I've only got, like I say, I've only got 8 grams left. There's been a couple of things that's re-motivated me to knit this. And the first is that can you remember I weighed the ball and that kind of demotivated me? I think I had 41 grams left on the last episode. So I thought, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to knit a few rows, I'm going to weigh the ball again, and I'm going to work out how much yarn I used per row, and then I can work out how many more rows I've got to do. And that for me makes I can see the end. I just couldn't see the end before. I know that sounds silly, it's only one ball of yarn, isn't it? But I thought, I'll do that, so I did. And I worked out at that point, I think I knit something like 6 more rows, and then I weighed my yarn and I worked out that it was about 1.5 grams per row. And that increases a little bit with each row because you're adding stitches. So I knew I'd got about 21 rows left. I added a bit extra at the end for the bind off. So that I thought, gosh, that's not many really, is it? I can totally do that. So that really motivated me. And then also I just slightly changed the way that I knit. So I will literally throw like that. I don't know if you can see, yeah. So instead of doing that when I need to knit quicker, because that isn't the quickest method of knitting, but normally speed is not a thing that I'm interested in. But on this occasion I wanted to knit a bit quicker, so instead of sort of grabbing the yarn and throwing, I kind of had it over my finger like that, and I'm still throwing, I'm still moving my whole hand, and I let go of the needle as well, I don't hold on to the needle. I've tried to do that a few times and I just cannot work out how I can keep hold of the needle like I've seen people do and flick at the same time, because I lose tension, and this kind of just does that. I've never been able to do it, so I thought I don't even try anymore. But just that little change from doing that to doing that, it's less of a movement, and it can change my gauge a little bit, but I just thought, I'm knitting garter stitch, I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine, and it is fine. So just those two things really re-motivated me, and I've really enjoyed it actually. I've really enjoyed working on it, and I did count my stitches this morning. I thought, I'm going to do it now. I've only got a few rows left, I feel safe to count them, and I had just over 330 stitches. So for me that's a lot of stitches. The other thing that I really love about this project is I love these needles. They are higher bamboo. It's a fixed circular. I only had one of these. I think I just bought a fixed circular just to try them. And they spin in the cable here. And at first when I started knitting with them, I thought these are a bit too grippy. But actually after a while, I think they smooth off a little bit. It's like any wood, isn't it? It kind of polishes a bit with your yarn going back and forth. And I just really love them. They're really light. And I like the fact that the stitches hold on the wood. You know, when you've got metal sometimes, I find that the stitches they very easily sort of fly off, don't they? I really like the fact that, you know, they stay on the wood because it's grippy. And I just find them really, really lovely to knit with. So I was thinking this morning, do you know what, I might buy an interchangeable set of these. And then I thought, hang on, I've got a bamboo chowgu fixed circular in my stash of needles. Somebody sent me one ages ago. So I thought I'm going to go and get that out and just compare them. So I did. And then I noticed this morning, I think Dan's been using this because it's like chewed like a squirrel's been at it. Do you know, because the yarn, because he knits so tight, the yarn has bitten into the wood. You won't be able to see it, I'm sure. But if I hold them close and you zoom in, you might be able to see there's like little striations going this way. But anyway, these are the chowgu ones. And these also spin, and they're also a lovely bamboo. But I'm just in two minds as to which sets, you know, if I was to get a set of interchangeable, whether to go for the hires or whether to go for the chowgu. I think with the chowgu, you can also put in the red cables will fit into the bamboo ones, I think. So that's quite a big advantage for me. The cable on the chowgu is clear, a clear plastic cable, and it does have a lot of memory. The higher I find it's a bit thinner and a bit more flexible. So I just don't know, if you happen to have both sets of the interchangeables of these, I'd be interested to know what your experiences of them are, or if you've got one set, you know, if you can share that with me in the YouTube comments, that would be great and very helpful, because I can't decide, you know, which ones I want to go for at the minute. I'm leaning towards higher at the moment, and I don't know why. I think it's just the cable.
I don't know.
Look how tight. I mean, you can't even get the stitches back over the blooming needle.
It's the magic loop that's tightening them up.
Right.
It's weird. It's really weird.
Yeah, I'm sure you could. Yeah, I'm sure
anyway,
you're probably right. So yeah, the conclusion is that I really love these higher bamboos, and I think I might order a set. But then I'm thinking, what if I would prefer the chowgus? Oh, I don't know. So I'm thinking about that. But that's my lovely Stash Buster shawl, which will be finished next time. And the pattern is by Heather Haynes. It's just called, I know a couple of people have difficulty finding this.
Yeah, and you can include me in that. But if you look, I always link it in the show notes.
It'll be linked in the show notes. But I did find it. If you search Stash Buster shawl on Ravelry, it's not on the first the first group here that you see, but if you scroll down, it was there. It must be how she's input the name, I think, that Ravelry was kind of struggling to find it, but it is there. So yeah, there you go. An almost done shawl. I'm very happy with it. Okay. And I will definitely knit, I will absolutely knit another one. Halfway through I was like, not sure, but now I'm thinking I would really like to knit another one, so yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. And the yarn is fondant fibre in the nude colourway. Lovely. Oh, I'm sorry. Dan Jones.
Yes.
What's on your needles? I'm so sorry.
That was brilliant.
I'm very old and absent-minded.
10 out of 10 for effort on that one. That's my favourite one.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
After 105 episodes, you've officially done the best ever link ever.
I'm excellent at these things.
She is. This is a new cast on, because I only cast this on. It's weird.
That's not a new cast on.
No, I realise that.
You can't.
And I'm not claiming it's that.
Pull the wool over my eyes.
Socks are weird, because you knit one and you cast it on and you cast it off. And then you knit another one and you cast it on and you cast it off.
Well, that's true, I know. But it's a pair, darling, so you have to knit
I realise
two.
it's a pair, but I have cast this on and knit all this since I showed you that last.
Right, yes.
So that's a good amount of...
Shall I put this one on a blocker so we can have a look
By
at
all
it?
means, that'd be lovely. So it's Hermione's Everyday Sock. It's in lovely opal yarn, and it's the popcorn. Is that a colourway?
No, that's the range.
Okay, the range is popcorn. The colourway is
Lottie and Han.
Lottie.
Oh, I'm going to call these my Han solo socks.
Yes. And I'm enjoying actually this second sock more than the first.
Are you really?
Would you believe that?
That's
So
very
you can forget second sock syndrome for me. I've got no idea why I'm enjoying this more than the first. I know why.
Because you've not got to do another one.
No.
Why?
Someone else has tried my theory and they said it works.
Oh, yes, I know.
And
what
I've
you're
just
saying.
realised it works, Kay.
The 2 socks, 1 sock thing.
I finished... That sounds like a Jedi mind trick. I finished this sock and I put this away and I tried to remove it from my brain. I then cast on Nicole C. Mendez and Kay Jones pattern, Prairie Socks. Got into that a little bit, put that down, picked this back up, cast this one on, and it doesn't feel like I've gone straight from this to this, because I haven't. But it's only been a short amount of time. So the theory definitely has worked. And you know it's worked because I didn't realise up until now that that's why I'm feeling good about this sock. I'm feeling slightly better about Magic Loop as well. You know, I get it and I understand why it's important and all that, but I do miss my DPNs.
Oh, it's fine.
The pattern is just... Do you know what? I mean, I'll admit, and I think I expressed this, that I was concerned on how well it would show up on variegated yarn like this.
And it does.
Goodness me.
Because it's just brilliant on every single yarn.
It is. You know, it's like... Do you know what? I think I probably prefer it, I think, on variegated yarn.
Yeah, I love it. On this, well, this is a self-patterning yarn, isn't it? It's not
So it's not
variegated.
variegated.
It's not variegated,
Oh,
no.
do you know what? It's
Aren't
just
they
too
pretty?
much. Yeah.
They're really pretty. I love these socks. I put one on the other night, didn't I? And it fits perfectly.
Yeah.
And I just love them.
Yeah. It does.
It's a proper pair of socks.
It is.
that.
It is. And what I've really loved is just playing around a little bit with it and you know, putting your own stamp on stuff, I think, is another way of buying into it emotionally. And you know, I know that might sound silly, but for me that's what I had to do with socks. I really had to buy into the whole process rather than feel like it was a process I had to go through. And you know, whilst I actually really, really like, and I'd love to get good at, and I will get good at, the heel that Erica put in the socks. I put in my own heel, as you know, I showed and told you on the last one.
It's a knife partridge, but it doesn't have the garter edge.
No.
You just don't like picking up from that garter edge very much, do you?
It's not that I don't like it, it's I'm just not very used to it, because I've only done it once. Well, I've done it twice now, because I did it on 2 pairs of socks. See, this is why Magic Loop winds me up.
How does it always get tangled? And I always say, how did my yarn end up through the Magic Loop?
Yeah. I'm sort of getting used to how the opal feels as well. And, you know, that's interesting for me too, because initially I just... But you see, is that a good thing, getting used to something that feels stringy and not much?
Yeah, I mean, getting used to something and actually really liking it, really loving it is 2 separate things. I think you can get used to lots of things, I think, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you would choose to do it.
No, well, I've definitely got used to that. And, you know, that's then making this an easier knit then, isn't it? Because, you know, I'm not constantly missing, you know, the lovely feel of Nicole's yarn. So, you know, reasonable progress. For me, it's good progress. Hermione's Everyday Socks, my second one in the pair, and I've got no idea what I'll do with Magic Loop once I finish this.
Throw it in the bin, probably, knowing you.
Because as much as I feel like I need to be able to do it...
Well, you can do it, so
Yeah.
you don't, and you know you don't enjoy it, so what? There's no point doing it. You can knit it a method that you really enjoy. so there's no point forcing yourself to do it.
I'm sort of analysing how often I've needed to magic loop stuff recently, and it's not a lot. The only time I've needed to do it was with the toys, and I was able to do it.
Yeah, the magic loop is brilliant for toys actually, when you've got just a few stitches in the round, because DPNs on that is just a pain, I think, when you've got like 6 stitches over three needles. No.
So, I think that the right thing to do is, rather than, as Kay says, to force it, I'm just going to put them away and just get on with the whole DPN thing. Because I just find DPN knitting fun. All those different little needles. They're like lots of mini lightsabers. What else is on your needles?
Right. Now this is a new cast on, and...
Have you got the...
What? That?
The I'd love to look at the...
What?
The ball band.
There.
What about the ball band for that one?
Well, I had that, so I didn't need it. It's upstairs somewhere. But I've got it, the ball band's there.
It's not upstairs.
Where is it? What have you done with it?
It's behind here.
I was just looking for... Did you hide my ball band? I was just looking in the bag and I'm thinking, did you put that in there?
No.
I don't know why that's in there then. Shall I show you what's in my bag? Look, I've got a little elephant sweet. Randomly in my project bag. Did you put that in there?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Well, why would... I haven't put that in there.
Who has it?
You put it in there, I don't believe you. He totally did. He took my ball band and replaced it with a sweet. So anyway, I shall tell you about this yarn. I was sent some yarn for a prize. I had a message from a lovely lady who has a yarn shop, and she said, I'd love to send you a prize for the Summer of Sorcery knit along. I was like, fantastic, thank you. It arrived and there was 2 skeins in there, and actually she sent another one for either one of us, whoever claimed it first, she said. And of course, well, there's never any real competition, is there, to be quite honest. So if I want it, Dan will just say, it's fine, you have it. And this yarn, the lady's name is Loriana, and she has a shop called Piggy Yarns on Etsy, Piggyyarns, piggyyarns.etsy.com. This particular yarn she wanted to send me was Harry Potter inspired, because it was the Summer of Sorcery. And she says, oh, can I send you one of my colourways? It's called 9 3/4. I was like, brilliant. I hadn't seen it on her website or anything. And the yarn came and I opened the bag and well, Dan was right there and I was like, oh my word. And then I looked at the base and I went, oh my word. I will show you the yarn. And I've cast on. I cast on the next day. I almost dropped everything and went and wound the yarn and cast on literally right then when I opened the bag. But I held on and I did it the next day. So the colourway is called 9 3/4. It's a self-striping yarn. I'll show you the one in the skein first. So this one is a prize for our Summer of Sorcery knit along. Look at this. I hope the colours are coming across. It's all of the colours of the houses, the Hogwarts houses. But something I realised, in particular, the colour for Ravenclaw is the colour from the book, not the colour from the film. So it's a beautiful blue and a bronze, which are the colours in the book, but they changed it for the film. Don't know exactly why. I think it's maybe because those colours wouldn't have transferred well on screen. Not entirely sure. And they are... I've never seen colours more Hogwarts-like in any yarn. You know, I started knitting it, I was like, it was like I was knitting yarn from the robes of the children at the school, because I've honestly never seen colours that look more Hogwarts colours. And the base is a new base that Loriana's trying out. It's 80% superwash Blueface Leicester, 10% cashmere and 10% nylon. So it's a BFL CN. So instead of an MCN, it's a BFL CN. And you get 425 yards for 115 grams. So it's a heavier skein, so you know that yarn is going to be lovely and plump, and it is. So this is the skein, it's her Luxe sock base. So this is the skein that will be a prize as part of the Summer of Sorcery knit along. And I'm telling you, whoever wins this, you're in for an absolute treat. And I'll show you my sock that I cast on. I haven't done very much because I'm at a point where it's not got, it's actually, Dan was just doing this to see if it got a lot of bounce. There's not a huge amount of bounce, but that'll be because, well, a BFL is a longer staple, isn't it? But cashmere's got a very short staple. But the actual fabric is amazing, and you've felt the fabric.
Yeah.
So this is my sock so far. And I'm just up to the heel flap. So I stopped at that point because I'm just thinking about what to do about the heel. So you can see I've started with the Gryffindor, with the scarlet and the gold. And then it goes into Slytherin with this beautiful green and the grey. And I'm just into Hufflepuff. I've done the yellow and I'm now on the black. I really can't say enough good things about this yarn. I think the way that Lorienna has dyed the colours are just amazing. I mean, the tones, you can see it, they're not flat colours. If you look in particular at the green there's loads of tones. It's soft and silky. BFL is quite a shiny fibre, isn't it? It's got a lot more sheen than a merino. And it just feels so silky, but yet still feels woolly. It's just fantastic. Her transitions from one colour to another are just, I think, brilliant. I don't know how she does it. It's literally one stitch, like here from the grey to the yellow. It's literally a one stitch change, and it's been like that with every colour I've come to so far. It's fabulous, fabulous yarn. So Lorienna, thank you so much for sending this. I'm completely blown away by it. And in this world of so much choice, and we were so lucky to have so much choice, and I've experienced lots of different types of yarns, and I've never knit with a base that's like this, and it's an absolute joy. So I've got to the heel. I'm putting the heel in sort of halfway down the black stripe of Hufflepuff. I'm going to do a heel flap and gusset because that's the one that fits best, and I want these to be the best socks ever. But I just wasn't sure what to do about the heel because I don't want to disrupt the stripes, so I want to put in a contrast colour. And I've sort of ummed and ahed about it, and I've got two choices. I've got some Drops Fable. I was thinking about, this is it's a four-plied yarn, I think. Are you messing around behind me? I think this is a four-plied yarn. So, and I know the Drops Fable, I think, is a four-plied yarn as well. And this is quite a nice plump fingering. So I've got this grey, which is a different sort of grey. So I thought that would work really well. It's kind of like a school uniform grey, isn't it? So I might use that. But then I thought about this in my stash. I've got a skein of the Uncommon Thread Tough Sock, which is an 80/20 BFL nylon. 365 meters, so it's very similar base. It's only a 2-ply though, so the twist is different, but the colour is smudge. I've had this forever actually in my stash, but again it's slightly different colour to all the other colours, yet it's kind of Hogwartsy. So I think I'm going to use one of those. I've just not decided which yet. I can't wait to get to the blue and the bronze. I've got the black coming up, and then it looks like I'm into the blue and the bronze. But this is it in the cake. Look at that. Isn't it fabulous? And it made such an enormous cake. I hope you can see how, and so lovely. It's fantastic. And like I say, the best thing for me has just been working with the yarn that is completely new to me. She actually had this blend made up herself. She couldn't find this particular blend anywhere, to buy from a supplier. So she actually had it made up herself. She will have some of this in the shop mid-August. What I would suggest that you do is you follow Lorienna on Instagram. She's Piggy Yarns. and keep an eye on it, because I'm sure she'll put on there when she's going to have some of this in the shop. I believe she has got some of this colourway in the shop at the moment, but it's not this base. But she did say she'll aim to have some in the shop mid-August. Amazing, fantastic, and I love it, you know, I absolutely love it. And I feel like it'll be a kind of a pair of socks that I might never want to wear, because they just feel so special. I did do one thing actually, which was interesting. I thought I'd try that thing in the ribbing where it avoids getting the little blips when you change colour. And I've seen loads of people do this, and when you get to a colour change, you just knit a plain round instead of knit 2 purl 2. And I did do that, and I didn't like it. I didn't think I wouldn't like it at all. But I could tell on the front side that I'd done a knit row. You know, when you looked at it, I could see the knit row. It was like I'd made a mistake. That's what it looked like to me.
Well, it would look like that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it just looked like I'd forgotten to knit 2 purl 2. So I pulled it back, and I'd rather have the little tiny blips that you can barely see really, but I'd rather have those than it look like I've made a mistake. And also you get...
Because you spend your whole time explaining yourself if ever anyone looks at them.
I know, but also it means you get a purl ridge on the inside, and I thought, I don't like the idea of that against your leg. You might be able to feel that. Probably not, but you might. But it was the look of it that I didn't like. It honestly, I just thought, well, I look at that and think I've messed up. So didn't like that method.
You have a little knit, I'll talk about my jumper.
I'm just going to relax a minute now. That was a lot of excitement for me. Oh, I could eat my sweet, but I won't. I'm going to save that.
Yes, save your sweet and knit a few stitches on that stash buster, and then you'll nearly have finished it.
I will, won't I? No, I'm not. I'm going to do that one.
Look, it's the Solja. And would you believe I've nearly finished the body? And I'm going slightly, well, no, it's about right. I'm going to be about right. And my gauge actually was pretty close. My goodness. Would you believe it? Mr. Tight Knitter.
It was spot on. His stitch gauge is spot on. The row gauge is just tighter.
I can't even begin to tell you how much I enjoy knitting lace in a garment. It was a new thing for me. I'd only ever knit it in hats before. I'd never done it in anything else. I knew I'd enjoyed it, but you know, the longer rows of lace are much more challenging because there's more chance of you making a mistake, or there's more chance of me making a mistake. The sort of therapeutic nature of remembering the repeat and then getting round it, and also the constant, it's so good for your mental health because it's like constant mental battles which when you win you get that sort of elation at the end of the row, and you know, that's just brilliant. I think that's why knitting is so good for you, because of those challenges which we tackle and hopefully we win, and then you know, you feel great about it, and then you get, you know, the momentary sort of relax of some straight knitting rounds, which I don't normally enjoy, but after doing, you know, a load of yarn overs, SSKs, knit 2 togethers, you can just sort of relax for a round or 2 or 3 maximum, and you know, it feels really good. So I've literally got 5 rows to go, and then I've knit up to where I need to do the arm business.
The arm business.
Yes, it's technical.
You've got to knit the sleeves.
Yes, that's right. I'm cool with that. Well, I think I'm cool with that.
Never knit sleeves, but you're going to use DPNs. I think. Oh, that reminds me. I better check what size DPNs, yes, because you'll probably need 8-inch DPNs, and I'll probably have to order some.
Right. Sorry.
Well, no, that's fine. I just need to check what size and stuff and order some for you. I might order them at the same time I order some bamboo.
Okay. It doesn't, to me, it didn't look long enough. You know, I was sort of looking at it thinking, how's that long enough? But actually, you know, when we stuck it up on you,
yeah,
it was all right.
I think it's because the rib's curling up at this point, so you've got an extra inch there. It will stretch as well. Lace grows, so even though it's a non-superwash. Oh no, it is a superwash, this one, isn't it?
It is a superwash,
This is superwash.
Split splicing totally works.
It will grow. It's a gorgeous colour, isn't it? It reminds me of like pumpkin pie or something. I
prefer knitting with this than the Drops Alaska.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Right, that's interesting.
It's less fluffy.
Yeah.
It feels a tighter twist.
Yeah.
And I like the way that it knits up. And, you know...
It looks beautiful.
It's just not splitty even slightly.
No.
And, you know, just the fact then that you can spit splice it...
Yeah.
It's sort of perfect, really. And, you know...
It's fantastic yarn. I love it.
It is. And, you know, I can't fault it, really. You know, it's got enough bounce for me. But, you know, for a garment, you know, I don't know, it feels like I want something slightly different to maybe what I would enjoy knitting with when I'm knitting. I think when you've got a thinner yarn, you know, when you go down to fingering weight, because it's so thin, if it's not got much bounce, I think that's when I find it hard.
It feels a bit stringy.
Yeah, it feels stringy and hard to knit with. Whereas because this is a bit more ploofy, that's one of your words.
Ploofy?
Yes. Because this is a bit more ploofy, the fact that, you know, it's not quite so... I mean, there is a bit of bounce there.
Yeah, definitely. It feels very squishy in the fabric, though.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
The actual knitted fabric is gorgeous.
So, I think...
Look at it. It's amazing.
It's such fun.
Doing so well. Gosh, navy blue would have looked nice with that gold. Oh,
I've got my next one.
Kind of wish I'd gone with navy blue now for the instead of the grey.
Next. You only know by
It's true.
putting these things up and trying them out. But, you know, it's going to get interesting now, isn't it? Because literally 5 rows, you know, it'll be a couple... Well, not long at all. I mean, I'll get that done in no time. And then, you know... I think a few people have had a few issues with the arms.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
In what way?
Well, I think it's working out the maths of it.
The maths?
Yeah.
Why is there maths to work out?
Well, I don't know. You see, I like to take... It's a bit like looking on in a book, isn't it?
I don't know why there'd be maths to work
Well, I know. So, you know, we will cross that bridge very soon. I've not had any problems. So, you know, if you fancy knitting a jumper... You want to do some colourwork and a bit of lace.
I can't wait. And we keep forgetting to bring the other colours of yarn to show you that we've got for the yoke.
We're putting the cart before the horse then.
Oh, right, okay.
You know,
they're beautiful. It's 3 shades of a pink and it's gorgeous.
And I remember I'm filming a whole secondary series showing to the centre of the yoke.
Yeah.
If we show everyone everything before we've even started, then...
But it looks lovely. It's like pale pink, mid-pink and a sort of maroony colour.
Actually, if I'm completely honest... On Journey to the Centre of the Yoke in the first episode, we did take a close look at every ball of yarn.
Oh, really? I haven't even watched it.
Great.
That's disgraceful,
That's good, isn't it? What else is on your needles?
Well, I'm knitting at the moment a little hat. I just fancied knitting a fingering weight hat. And I was going to just do a sock head hat. And then I thought, well, hang on a minute. I've written a pattern that's slightly more detailed than a sock head hat. And still is very simple, so why don't I just do that? Because I do like a bit of something going on. And sometimes if something is very simple, it's just nice to have a bit of something, isn't it, to keep you motivated.
And that's why you did it. You know, we spoke about this the other day, and you were talking about, you know, oh, maybe I should do a sock head, and you were saying, oh, you know, I'm worried I might get a little bit bored because I maybe want something a little bit more interesting this time, and that's when... It just made sense to knit that one again.
Yeah, I just thought, why don't I knit a twister hat? I designed a hat as part of the Platinum collection called the Twister. I've shown it before on the podcast, and I just thought, you know, I've only ever knit that one that I did for the pattern, so why don't I do another one of those? So that's what I'm doing. This yarn that I'm using was a birthday gift this year from a lovely friend, and as soon as I opened it, I thought, I really want to knit a hat with that. It just cried out to me to be a hat. So I pulled it out of my stash and wound it up. And the yarn is from Ellie and Ada, hand-dyed in County Meath in Ireland. How lovely. Oh, I bet it's beautiful there. I've never been to County Meath. And it's a superwash merino single, so it's kind of like a Tosh Merino Light. 100 grams, 366 metres. And the colourway is Aphrodite. So it's Ellie and Ada. And the colour, you know, she totally had my bag when she chose this skein for me, because it's this amazing sort of hot fuchsia. It's a bit brighter than it's coming out on screen there. It's just gorgeous, gorgeous colour. Beautiful.
The fuchsias, the ones that look like ballet dancers?
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
And are they all, they're always pink?
No, I don't think I don't think they're always...
But you said hot fuchsia.
Our fuchsia's always pink. I don't
Or
think...
that, if you would call it pink. It is
I
pink.
don't know. I'm sure they must come in more than one colour, but you normally see the pink ones, don't you?
There was a
I don't
fuchsia
know.
bush out the
gorgeous.
back of my grandma's bedroom window, and I always used to remember.
Yeah, they're beautiful plants.
She took me off for picking them and dancing around with them.
Quite common in this country, you see fuchsias. They're very much a garden plant, aren't they? Look,
Right.
people have them in like cottage garden.
It was a big
Beautiful.
bush. It was a big bush, actually.
Just grow. It can
Right.
grow into quite a big bush, yeah. So this is where I'm up to. Oh, and I really love it. I've just finished the rib and I've just started on the sort of textury. There's lots. It's all twisted stitches that are, you know, hence the name. It's really lovely, and I love the tonal quality of the yarn. It's not a flat colour. It's really lovely. It's it feels, when I wound the skein, it did feel slightly felted. I did wonder whether, because it's such a saturated colour, I thought, I wonder if it's just had a little bit too much time in the dye pot. Because I know that, you know, my experience from dyeing, I don't dye a huge amount on singles. I have done in the past. Although it's superwash, I think it obviously is more inclined to felt than applied yarn would be. It kind of was just a bit stuck together when I wound it. And it feels a little bit thinner than a Tosh Merino Light. But I'm thinking once I've given it a nice soak, I'm going to give it a nice soak in just some cool water with a little bit of wool wash, but I might throw in a bit of citric acid because I've got a feeling it might bleed. It's very saturated. I think it will fluff up a bit. I mean, I've literally only done a few rows of the textury bit. And it's interesting actually because the one that I knit for the pattern was a variegated yarn, and the pattern looks brilliant in variegated yarn, and that was my whole intention with it. But actually seeing it in a, you know, more solid yarn, it just produces a subtle, you know, you look at it and you think, oh, there's something going on, but I'm not quite sure what. And it, you know, it works really well, I think. You can't hardly see it because I've only just started it. But it's a bit more interesting than just knitting plain. You know, it's a 2-row repeat. It's very, very simple, but not quite as simple as... What's going on? Oh, it's only you've just...
Yeah. It's fine. Sorry.
You've nearly finished that ball.
Oh, I've also nearly finished the hat.
So yeah, I'm really enjoying that, and this is kind of this will be my bedtime knitting because I've almost finished that stash buster now. And this is brilliant for bedtime knitting because it's just so simple, but I think the colour's amazing. And I think with my darker hair... Do you like my cute panda? Oh, hello. He's so sweet. It's another Duckpool Lane bag. Oh, it's so cute. Sorry. Panda photo bomb.
And speaking of the platinum patterns, it's the Mon Ami. Now, this will be the final platinum pattern,
Yeah.
which comes out in...
September.
And then 2019's platinum patterns
I am going to be carrying on
will commence
in December.
on the 24th of December,
Yeah.
2018.
So yeah, you'll get...
Oh my goodness.
All our lovely patrons who qualify for the collection
Yeah.
will get a little Christmas Eve gift again. And I'll be starting again with another platinum collection. So.
Well, I think that we should make, like we did this year, we should make the first platinum pattern.
Oh, for everyone.
A
Oh, we
gift
did
for
do.
all our patrons.
We did do that, didn't
Yes.
we? A Christmas Eve gift.
Look, you can
we
tell
can do that. Yeah.
it's
we can do
July,
that.
so we can talk about Christmas. we just did
can.
our Christmas in July pod, didn't we? Our Patreon
did.
podcast
Yeah,
on
we
Sunday.
did, yeah.
So I think, you know, we're allowed to talk about what's coming up at Christmas. But yes, I think, you know...
Yeah, let's
yes.
do that.
Cool!
Yeah.
How exciting!
Christmas Eve gift for everyone.
That blows the gift. Do you know what? I think we should get excited about it because just hearing you talk about, you know,
I know
next year's,
I
it's
know
cool.
what I'm going to do already.
Seriously.
I know what I'm doing already for the December one. I've got all the yarn and everything. I just need to knit the thing. Yeah.
So, this is the Mon Ami hat. This will come out in September. I'm knitting it to try and perfect my collar work, and you know, it takes practice. That's all I'll say. But I don't really want to turn it too much inside out. But my floats are way better. I
It's
can't
a lot
really turn it
better.
inside out. It is a lot better. You know, it starts average and then gets better, and I mean, it is a lot better. I think, you know.
And it looks brilliant, you know, when you look at it in the camera there. So from a distance,
Yes.
it looks great.
Oh, it does actually, doesn't it? That looks really cool. And I really enjoy how the pattern works. it just, it's perfect for me and being able to concentrate on getting the whole tension right. And what I found really beneficial, and this will be something which the people who knit colourwork will absolutely know, but I didn't know, is you stretch out your stitches when you're moving your float, stretch it right out, and it's enabling me to not have quite so many loose stitches, because my tension was perhaps going a little bit too far on the loose side, because you're thinking, oh, I've got to be loose because it's colourwork. Well, actually, just stretch out those stitches, float your yarn across, and job done. It seems to be working for me. But, my understanding of how things work behind and underneath, my understanding actually, it was here that I started to think I need to know how to sort out this business. And you can see those loose stitches start to disappear as it moves up. So I absolutely love it. It's great fun, and I will have this finished pretty soon. And then the big decision is going to be: do I knit another one and churn it another Christmas present, or do I knit a different colourwork hat? And perhaps I should knit
a different one.
A different one with maybe 2 colours, 3 colours.
3 colours, really? Why?
Because the jumper's got about.
Not on the same row.
Oh right, okay. So
you
that would
you
be
only
great.
have 2 colours in each section. They're just different.
Cool. That's great. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, it's not.
Perfectly happy about that.
Yeah.
So I'll have a think and a look around and make a decision as to what I do next. But I'm definitely going to knit another colourwork hat, because I am. It's the thing that I'm probably most concerned about is do a great job on that jumper and then mess the colourwork up and it look rubbish. Well, that'd be a bit of a disaster, really. I want to make sure that I do a really, really good job. But that is the Mon Ami. And now it's time for us to have some sugar.
Have a little break.
And have lots and lots of sugar.
Gosh, it's terrible.
No, don't worry. I don't do that very often. It's why I run.
No, you don't, to be fair.
Not like I used to.
You do enjoy sugar, it's true.
Yeah, well, I think it's just this. This is the only thing I've ever eaten which has sent me into some sort of strange zone.
You also like Coke.
I love Coke. I do love Coke. But the only thing I can liken biting into a slice of this to is when I had this operation and I had morphine on when I used to push the button. It's exactly the same things that
It's
fire
baking
off.
morphine is apparently what it is.
This is good. So prepare yourselves, go get the ingredients after you've watched and make it. Yes. You're not going to regret it. Let's have a look.
I think it's been way too long since we did some baking. We want to share with you some of the tastes of our childhood. These were the dishes that were served to us by our mums and our grandmas. We know our favourites, but we would love to know yours. So we're going to bake all of our favourite puddings. And at the end of the series, you can vote for your favourite. This year, why don't you join me for the Bakery Bears Pudding Club? So come on, let's get baking! Who knows what this is? How many of you enjoyed this poured over tinned fruit when you were growing up? This is, of course, condensed milk. It was invented in Russia in the 13th century, but it wasn't until the American Civil War that its popularity spread. The US government ordered huge amounts of it as a field ration for Union soldiers, and when the war ended, soldiers returning home quickly spread the word about this amazing ingredient. Why is it amazing? Because with 15 minutes work, you can turn it into this delicious caramel. In the early 1980s, one of the leading brands of condensed milk in the UK put the recipe for this on the back of one of their tins. Combining delicious shortbread with caramel and milk chocolate, Millionaires Shortbread quickly became a staple of our childhoods. So there was simply no way we couldn't include it in this first series of the Pudding Club. Who wants to try some? Okay, well let's get baking. Okay, so what are we going to need for our delicious Millionaire shortbread? So first of all, for the shortbread, we're going to need plain flour, just ordinary plain flour. We're going to need butter. I've actually got the butter already weighed out there for the shortbread. And we're going to need some caster sugar, which is the fine white sugar that we use for baking very often. And then for the caramel, we're going to need 2 tins of condensed milk. These are the tins that weigh 397 grams. It's the most common ones, carnation condensed milk. And then we're going to need some light muscovado sugar. This is a very fine, soft, light brown cane sugar, as you can see. Very common over here, used a lot in things like Christmas cakes and puddings and biscuits. And then some more butter for the caramel, and then chocolate for the topping. So I'm using Green and Black's organic milk chocolate. You can use dark chocolate if you prefer for the chocolate topping, but I like using this one because although it's a milk chocolate, it's 37% cocoa, which actually for a milk chocolate is very high. So I find this to be a really nice sort of in between. So it's not too sweet and it's not the really dark bitter chocolate. But whatever your choice is, you're going to need 200 grams. Although, depending on how thick you like your chocolate, you might not use all of that. So what baking notions will we need? Not a lot, really, you'll be very pleased to know. So what we're going to need is just an ordinary mixing bowl, a couple of spoons. The tin to bake your shortbread in needs to be round about 13 by 9 inches. And it wants to be kind of like a Swiss roll type tin, so it's about, I don't know, 1.5 inches deep, I suppose. And I've lined it with baking parchment. That's not essential to line it, but I just find that that's a great sort of security blanket. It means that when you've done your shortbread, you can just lift the whole thing out and it comes out really easily. It's much easier to cut, I find, when it's not in the tin. And then just a saucepan for making your caramel. So there we go, let's get baking. Okay, the first thing we need to do is make the shortbread. Now this is a very basic shortbread recipe. So we're going to start with the flour. I'm just going to pop the bowl on the scales. So plain flour, and we need 250 grams. So I'll just weigh that out. I don't bother sieving it. There we go, 250 grams. And then we need caster sugar. We need 75 grams of caster sugar. Oh, nearly. Oh, it's a tiny bit over, so I'm just going to take a little bit of that out. I am one for precision when it comes to baking. 75. So we're just going to give those two a little mix together, because sometimes with caster sugar, as you can see here, sometimes it can form a lump in the bag. All you need to do is that, and it just crumbles. So just give those two a little mix and just get rid of any of those little caster sugar lumps that are there. If it's been on the supermarket shelves for a while, sometimes it can just work its way into lumps. There we go. And now all we need to do is rub in the butter. So I've got 175 grams of butter that's at room temperature. So take it out of the fridge, like an hour before you want to bake. So I've already sort of chopped it into not little bits, but smaller than a huge lump. We're going to rub the butter into the flour until it looks just like breadcrumbs, really. It is a lot of butter. This is a lot more than you would use if you were making pastry, for example. But the butter is basically what holds the whole thing together. So you just keep rubbing. It looks like it's an enormously large amount of butter when you start rubbing. And it isn't a small amount of butter, let's be honest, but it's necessary. So just keep going. And you can see that having the butter soft does make the whole thing much easier. If you try and do this with butter from the fridge, you'll be at it for ages. So we're nearly there, just took a couple of minutes. And with regards to the butter, I always use salted butter. I know a lot of people I see baking on the television, especially I've noticed Nigella Lawson, will more often than not use unsalted butter. I don't like unsalted butter, but it's a personal preference. If you want to use unsalted butter, then please do so. But what I will say is use the best quality butter that you can, because the butter is where the flavour is in the shortbread. So it will look, if you notice, it will look like really chunky breadcrumbs. And it squidges back together. That's a technical term, just in case you were wondering. It squidges back together really easily. If you do that, you can see it comes solid, and that's what we want. So now all we're going to do is we're going to pour all of this kind of shortbread rubble into our baking tray. Just pour it all in. Little mountain. And spread it out, and then we're just going to push the shortbread down. I just use my fingers, it's the easiest way of doing it. We're just squishing it basically into the corners. You want it nice and firm because we do want the shortbread to be fairly firm when it's baked. We don't want too much of a crumbly shortbread because we're putting caramel on top of it, and really the shortbread is what holds the whole thing sort of together. So give it a nice firm pat down. And then this is going to go into an oven which I've preheated to 180 degrees C. And you want to bake it for about 20 minutes until it looks kind of lightly gold on top and firm to the touch. Do keep an eye on it because it can burn quite quickly. There we go. Okay, so the shortbread's done. It's out of the oven and it's cooling down now. So here we go. You can see it's a lovely golden colour. It's firm to the touch. It's still a tiny bit warm, but that's fine. It's going to take us 10 minutes to make the caramel, so that'll give it time just to fully cool down. You don't want to put your caramel onto here unless it's cooled, so make sure it's had plenty of time just to cool down. It might take 15 or 20 minutes. So it's time to make the caramel. This is actually really simple. There are several ways to make caramel. This method I find works really well and it's not difficult at all. In our saucepan, I've put in there 100 grams of butter and 100 grams of the soft muscovado sugar. And then into that, we're going to put in the condensed milk, the 2 tins of condensed milk. Oh, it's lovely stuff, this. So I'm using a spatula just to make sure I get it all out of the tin, because it's a sticky old substance. So that's 1 tin. There we go. And now what we're going to do is turn the heat on. Oh, it tastes so nice. And stir. And initially what we're doing is we are dissolving all of the butter and all of the sugar. So we're going to, but the key to this is you've got to keep stirring the whole time. Keep the heat not raging at this point, just a nice moderate heat until all of the butter and the sugar has all dissolved. You can feel the sugar, because it's obviously granular. It is a fine sugar, but you can still feel it. So you will know once it's all dissolved, because everything will feel smooth and you'll not feel any of that sort of sandy texture. Okay, so all of the butter has dissolved. I've just got 1 or 2 little sugar specks, which I'm just sort of making sure they get squashed into the syrup. And then bring it to the boil. So I'm just getting it to that boiling point. And now I've turned it down just to a simmer. And now just keep stirring, like I said, for 5 minutes or so until it starts to thicken. Okay, I've actually been stirring now for about 10 minutes. I did think 5 wasn't enough when I read this recipe. My instincts were telling me it'd probably take a bit longer, and I've given it 10 minutes, and it's now much thicker. You can see when I run my spoon through it, it makes a little river. It just feels much thicker than when we started. Dan's had a little taste test and licked the spoon completely clean, so he's approved of the flavour. So I think we're actually there. So just keep stirring, about 10 minutes, and you can see you'll get this lovely thick. I hope you can see the difference in the sort of consistency to when we started. When we started, it was just like thick milk, and now it's more of a very soft caramel, I will say, which is what it is, and the colour's darkened as well. Take it over to our shortbread, which is now completely cold, and we're just going to pour the caramel over the shortbread. Oh, look at this. Lovely. And then just ease it over the whole surface. It will go quite readily, but you want it to be an even layer of caramel. And now we need to leave this to set. So initially, just leave it now as it is to cool, to let the caramel cool. And then, because it's so warm today, I'm going to just pop it in the fridge for maybe half an hour. I'll just have a look at it after half an hour. I just want that caramel to be completely cold and to have firmed up, ready for the topping. So there we go, that's part 1 finished, and we will see you back shortly for part 2 when we're going to melt our chocolate and pour it all over the top. So I will see you back then.
Yum. Oh my goodness, we're only halfway there, but already I want to lick the spoon.
And you did.
Many, many times. Kay let me lick the spoon and I was gone. Back into the years past.
You did like that caramel, didn't you?
I did.
And I did say it'd be nice to just have on ice cream as well.
Yeah, absolutely. With some salt in it.
Oh yeah, you could make it into salted caramel, couldn't you, quite easily?
Delicious.
Yeah.
And who would have thought? I would never have guessed that the Tartars who settled in Russia.
The Waters?
The Tartars. They were a tribe called the Tartars. They were, it derived is the wrong word, they were ancestors, very early ancestors. I mean, it's probably wrong to say ancestors because you're probably only talking a generation. They were Mongols. They were
right.
Genghis Khan.
Right.
And, you know, for those of you, I was never particularly interested in Genghis Khan at all.
No.
And I never really understood the history of Genghis Khan very much, but it's actually very interesting. And there's a series of 4 books by Con Iggulden all about Genghis Khan. I'll link it in the show notes below. And they're great books. They're really great books. Con Iggulden wrote the books about Rome that I enjoyed. And I read all 4 of you know, these books about Genghis Khan and learnt loads. And, you know, they invented condensed milk. But I bet you they didn't.
Amazing.
Yeah, I bet you they didn't realise you could make caramel with it.
I bet they didn't, no.
Will it taste anything like my mum's? You'll find out later on in the show. Because now it's time for us to find out. Kay Jones, what's off your needles?
Gosh, I've got quite a lot, actually.
Cool.
Which is brilliant, isn't it? I was thrilled. I didn't realise I'd have quite so much. But my first finished item was almost finished on the last podcast, and it's my Sweet Bee socks by Lovely Jules. Pattern is out now, and mine are all finished and just beautiful. I love this colour. I mean, I know I dyed this yarn, so I never really like self-promoting, if you like, but I think it's just...
Well, you're not, because you're not selling it, so You're not still promoting it, are you?
Well, I have sold some of this colourway before.
But not
a lot,
now.
Not at the moment, no.
No. If you were to then say, and there's 50 skeins of this going up in the shop later.
Gosh, that would be amazing.
That would be amazing. Plus, that would be self-promotion.
Well, it would. No, so no, I don't have any yarn to show you this time, but yeah, and I really love knitting these actually, and it was a whole new experience for me. Toe up, this heel I'd never done before, a bind off that I'd never done before, a stitch for the little bees I'd never done before. So it was lots of firsts, and I love learning new things. In this context, I love learning new things generally, but when it's connected to something that you really love and you've been doing for quite a while, and you kind of think, what else is there that I could learn? I'm not saying I'm vastly experienced, but you know what I mean. And there was loads to learn in this, and in this little project, and it just produced such a pretty pair of socks. Will I be a toe-up convert? You're probably all wondering.
I'm not.
Probably not, in all honesty. That is no reflection on the pattern whatsoever. The pattern's brilliant. It's just that I'm not a toe-up sock knitter. I just prefer cuff down. But were I to ever knit toe-up again, if I had some particular reason, the only time I think I'd knit toe-up is if I had a limited amount of yarn for a pair of socks, and I really wanted to get a pair of socks out of that limited amount. If you knit them toe up, then you could split your ball in half, couldn't you? Knit them toe up, and you know that you can just knit the leg as far as you've got yarn. So if I was to ever knit toe up again, I would definitely use Jules's method for doing that, because it didn't cause me any problems at all. It was really enjoyable. So yeah, love them, Jules. And Jules has actually offered us a pattern for our knit along, our Summer of Sorcery. So thank you so much, Jules, and I've added that into our lovely prize pot. So somebody will win a copy of Jules's pattern. I finished Dan's Shorty socks. Yeah, you can wear these now.
I know.
Are you pleased?
That's why. Well, yes.
Are you really pleased?
Well, yeah.
Oh.
Because I don't have small socks that fit me. This is the reason why I wanted them.
Oh.
So, as it's been so hot here, and it genuinely has been really hot here, I've had to just wear no socks at all.
Yeah.
Which has been terrible, because she wouldn't let me have them.
No.
Asked and asked and asked, but no.
He didn't ask and ask, because he knew there was no point. So yeah, I've finished Dan's lovely Shorty socks. And these have been washed and blocked. And I really enjoyed knitting these.
Could you make me another pair?
Yes, I have cast you on another pair actually, but I'm not keen on the yarn, so I think I'm going to use some opal, some old opal.
Okay.
There we go, so these are all finished. What did I use? I can't remember, I can. Lang Yarn's Super Socks. And the colour was 901.0031. This was a gift from a lovely friend. And I only had 20 grams left from knitting Shorty socks for him. So I think I would have just, I'm not sure. I think I would have just had enough to knit a proper size sock, because I'm missing 44 rows effectively on each sock. So I would have had to have knit 88 rows with 20 grams. It would have been tight, I think, but I think I could have just done it, because I know I can just get a full pair of socks for Dan out of one of these commercial skeins. And they washed up beautiful, actually. It feels really lovely. I used my umbrella toe, which is in two of my patterns now. It's in the Drippity Drop and the Promenade socks. Yeah, so they're all done. And Dan can have them now, so he'll be very pleased. And I have actually I've got some more of this yarn now, because I loved it so much. I've ordered some more, so I've got a couple of balls in my stash now, which is fantastic. So they are yours.
Thank you very much.
Present for you.
What else is up your needles?
Well, we might as well continue with the sock fest,
yes,
hadn't we? And I've finished another pair, 3 pairs of socks.
Wow.
That's pretty good going, isn't it? These ones are my Comfort socks. Comfort Sock and Wool colour. And it's colourway number 218.05.
this forms part of your quest for new sock yarn review series.
It does, yes.
This has either gone out recently or it's due to go out recently.
Right.
Kay's done a really in-depth review on this yarn.
Yep. And I love it, is the conclusion. I really love it. I had quite a bit left of this one, actually. I reckon there's about 40 grams there. 30, 40 grams, easily. And here are my finished socks. Yay! Aren't they lovely? The stripes, and they're not matching, and I do that deliberately. Gosh, the shadow then looked like there was a pink stripe down there. There isn't, it's just the shadow on there. Yeah, so they're mismatched, which is how I like my striped socks. I don't particularly want them to match. I really like them mismatched. And I used Drops Fable just for the heels in the, but I think it was just beige, the colourway. But it's a really nice neutral. I really like that colour. And these were lovely to knit, and again they've washed up really nice. Just a plain sock, 64 stitches. I didn't want to do anything, I just wanted the stripes to show because they were so interesting. Not a regular sort of stripe sequence. I just really liked them. And you know, it is true what they say, striped socks do tend to go quicker because you just want to see what the next one looks like and the next one looks like. And again, my umbrella toe, which it seems to be the only one that I knit these days. I just really love it. It seems to fit everybody really well. So there we go, that's my third pair of socks finished.
And what else is off your needles?
And I'm not wearing any of these socks at the moment because it's so warm. The last thing I've finished is the baby cardigan, everybody.
And you can follow every stage of this in a series which starts, I think, next week.
Right,
And
next week?
It's been quite a journey. It's been quite a journey, actually. It's been an interesting one to film because there's been some good challenges to overcome. So don't give away.
It's been a brilliant little project, actually. Again, learning things. And I think this just shows you really that I think there is something to learn from every new project that you do. And you know, you might go into it thinking...
You never know what obstacles you're going to
No, you don't. And even if you read through a pattern at the beginning and think, yeah, that looks fine, I think it's a different thing when you actually come to knit it.
One of the things that we wanted to try and cover with this little series, I mean, it is a tutorial series, but it's also a bit like a documentary series because
it's just a little knit along.
It was,
you know.
Well, it was about showing a project and showing the challenges which you can face and how you then in real time overcome them.
And being completely honest with these challenges, because sometimes you'll forget. You know, you might have. From one podcast to another, I might have forgotten that I had that bit of an issue with something. But when you're actually filming it as you knit it, these things crop up and you talk about them. And I'm just completely honest. You know, if there's things I don't like, I will say. If there's things that I love, I will say. So it's really good. And look at this. Oh, it looks really nice on the navy blue. Quite into navy blue, I think. Look how cute. Oh, it's adorable. Look how sweet it is. I'm really, really pleased with how it came out. And it washed up lovely. I hand washed it, but it is machine washable, but I hand washed it. And it's just so cute. Look at the buttons with the bees. It's lovely.
Can I borrow it for just 1 second?
Yeah.
So we took it to show Kay's mum yesterday, and she picked it up and she looks at it like this and she said, "Oh, it's beautiful. Have you given it to her yet?"
She did. Mum, you did make us laugh. How funny. And I just looked at her and I went, "Oh, I can't have, can I? Because it's here." It was such a funny Irish thing. It just felt like a very Irish thing to say for some reason. Just really funny and sweet.
Yes, I have. She loves it.
It really made us laugh. So yeah, I'm going to take it to her this afternoon, actually. I've got to pop to the post office, so I'm going to wrap it in some tissue paper. I'm going to take it to her. And I think it's lovely. I had sort of qualms about it being gender neutral. I thought it looked too boyish.
Doesn't.
But now I've finished it, I don't think it does. I hope you think so too, that it'd be okay for a girl or a boy.
I would.
When I bought this greyish yarn, I thought it was more of a beigey sort of yarn. But, you know, I think adding that mustardy colour and the buttons as well really sort of enhanced the feel that it would suit a boy or a girl. And I think it's a great size. You know, it's just a newborn size. And I did get gauge once it was blocked. But I think that's a nice size for a newborn baby. I don't think it's super tiny, and I think it would fit them for a good month or two. Even if they only use it to have photos taken, you know, and things like that, it's fine. Or even if they don't put it on the baby at all, I'm not, you know, I wouldn't be offended. They might not.
They will.
Yeah, because I don't know the people, but anyway. I really enjoyed knitting it, and I just like giving people gifts. I really enjoy knitting things for other people. And I know that the lady in the post office, Chris, I know that she'll be really touched, and I'm hoping she doesn't cry, because she, she has, when I've been talking to her about stuff in the past, she's kind of got a bit teary about various things. So I know she's quite an emotional person, because otherwise she'll set me off. That'll be great, won't it, in the post office with all the people in the queues, us two sobbing there over a baby cardigan. So I knit this in Drops Merino Extra Fine, and I used colour number 8 is the grey and 30 is the mustard, and I think it's called something like light grey and mustard, or light beige grey and mustard, something like that. And I really enjoyed knitting it, and I do want to knit one for Big Teddy. I tried it on Big Teddy. It's a tiny bit too big, but I think he'll look really cute in one of those. So there we go, and it's the Perium cardigan by Kelly Brooker. And there is a paid for version of this which gives bigger sizes. This one is free, the newborn, and then you can purchase one for bigger sizes. That's all my finished objects. My goodness, I think that's plenty.
It's time for us to go and see if our caramel is set, and are we ready to put our chocolate topping on.
Wow.
And then it'll be time to cut, and then time to eat.
Wow.
So, shall we go back and finish off making our Millionaire Shortbread?
Yes.
Let's go.
Welcome back to part 2. We are now ready to put on our chocolate topping. So it's nicely chilled now. The caramel has gone nice and firm, and all we need to do is to melt our chocolate and then pour that over. Okay, so I have put my 200 grams of chocolate into a Pyrex bowl, and I've got that over a saucepan with just a little bit of water in the bottom. I'm heating the water up, and then that's going to melt the chocolate. I wouldn't do this in the microwave just because I don't want to risk ruining 200 grams of quite expensive chocolate. You know, if you're feeling brave and you've done it several times before, you might want to melt your chocolate in the microwave, but I wouldn't recommend it because it seizes very easily, and that means that it will just basically go into this massive grainy lump, and you can't do anything with it. You just have to get rid of it. So this is the safest way of melting chocolate. It doesn't take very long at all. Just break your chocolate into bits and then just let it melt over the gentle heat. Use a nice quality chocolate though. This is Green and Black's. Lindt is really nice. I wouldn't use the sort of cooking chocolates that you see quite often in the baking aisle. I never use those because I just think they're fairly grim, to be honest. So you can see that's almost melted now. I'm going to turn off the heat because there's enough residual heat in that now just to melt it. It actually doesn't take a lot of heat at all to melt chocolate. If you think about it, you know, if you happen to have a bar of chocolate in your pocket, for example, I'm not saying you would do that, but it could very easily melt just from body heat. Just smells very nice, this chocolate. It doesn't smell like a sweet milk chocolate, it does smell like a nice cocoa-y chocolate, if that makes sense. That's all melted, so we can now just take that off the heat. Okay, so we've now got our chocolate ready. Just making sure it's all completely melted. Dan actually prefers Millionaire Shortbread to have a thin layer of chocolate on top. Quite often when you buy this in a shop, the chocolate on top will be really thick, and Dan prefers a thin layer. Now the recipe did call for 2 bars of chocolate, and that's what I've used, but you know, judge it for yourself. You might want more chocolate, you might want less. It's really entirely up to you. So for me and for Dan, we think it'll be perfect, but use your own judgment really. If you think you'll need more, then throw in another bar. So So all we're going to do is we're going to pour it over the top of our caramel. So I'm going to kind of do it with a spoon because I want to make sure that I get some in sort of every section so that I can then spread it out nicely. Oh, it's like modern art. This is a fun bit for children to do, I think, actually. I just want to make sure I get chocolate in every area so it makes it easier to spread. So all we're then going to do is just cover, just go around. And this, I can tell this is going to be a nice thin layer of chocolate, so it should please Dan enormously. Oh, it's very satisfying doing this, I've got to say. It's a lovely thing to do. Just make sure you've covered all of the caramel. It's everywhere covered, so I'm just going to go back over it and just smooth it off a little bit. Let's go that way. There we go. So now all we need to do is let that cool, as we did before, to room temperature. And then, you know, if it was in the middle of winter, you wouldn't probably need to put it in the fridge, but it's very warm at the minute, so I will chill it down in the fridge. When you do that though, you will lose that gloss of the chocolate because that just happens when you put chocolate in the fridge. It goes like a matte finish. Doesn't affect the taste at all. So I will chill it down and then we will be ready to give it a taste. So it's had its sort of chilling time. Really, it depends on the temperature in your house, or you know, if you're just leaving it to cool naturally. But I popped it in the fridge for about an hour, just until the chocolate on top, you can tell it's nice and firm. So we're all ready now to give it a try. All finished and we've cut ourselves a lovely, nice sized piece. This is, I think this is perfect for kind of this time of year when you might be going on picnics, for example. Perfect sort of thing to pick up and eat when you're on a picnic. If you've got friends coming round, maybe to knit in the afternoon and you make a lovely pot of tea, give them a slice of this, absolutely delicious. If you're visiting a friend or family, again, it's the perfect thing to take because it travels easily. You know, you can cut it up, pack it into a box, and away you go. So perfect little sort of treat, I think, for lots of different occasions. Enough of that talk. I think it's time for us to give it a try. What do you think? Let's give it a go.
Look who gets the honours. Now folks, when we started this series, when Kay came up with the idea for this series, the whole point of it was for us to make things, and it's exactly what Kay's been doing. She's been making things inspired by our mums and our grandmas, and of all the things that's been made, this is the one which has the most poignancy for me because this is my childhood. And that's the reason why Kay's giving me the honours. I've come from behind the camera to give it a go. So shall we see and find out if it reminds me of when I was growing up? Here we go. That's really nice. Oh my goodness. Now I've got to say, you wouldn't want a thicker layer of shortbread. Similarly, that layer of caramel is perfect. And the chocolate, if it's any thicker than that, which always happens if you go and buy it in a shop, it squashes out all the caramel. So you end up getting covered. That is perfection. That is a taste of my youth. My mum saw this recipe on the back of a tin in 1982, and here I am, many, many years later, eating some more of it, and it is just perfect. Oh my goodness, I've got to try some more. That caramel, it's mind-blowing. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you. You have to try this. If you've enjoyed this series and you want a taste of my youth, we've all got tastes of our youth, haven't we? But that is my youth. And it's like a chocolate bar. But the ingredient, there's no rubbish gone into it. It's all lovely stuff. So, please go and try this. And post pictures, because I want to drool over yours as well as mine. And we will be back next month with a brand new pudding club. We'll see you then. Beautiful. It truly is. I am.
Are you all running to the supermarket
jesting
now?
Not.
To find your condensed milk?
Folks, you've got to make this. Even if you bought it, in fact, I would say strongly, if you bought this from a shop before and thought you enjoyed it.
It's nothing like shop bought.
It's like.
I don't think.
No, it isn't. It isn't. Shop bought. It always has issues.
Yeah, and it's all they never. I don't think they ever really use butter. It'll always be margarine, won't it? And
probably the
chocolate won't be good quality.
The biggest issue with the shop bought is probably the thickness of the base. Actually, we were in Costa the other day, and their base was just stupidly thick.
Yeah.
You can't make normal shortbread thickness.
Yeah, theirs was really thick shortbread, a little bit of caramel and a load of chocolate. The proportions didn't seem right.
So if you make too thick a bottom, trouble. Make too thick a top, squashes the caramel out. Make too sticky a caramel, it's going to totally jam up your mouth, which actually would be quite fun. So actually, if you do that, I wouldn't worry too much. So it's perfection, utter perfection. And, you know, evidence to that is there's none left.
No, it did last quite a long time. We kept it in the fridge just because it's been so hot, you know. And it did last a good, I don't know,
I think
4
I would
or
always
5
keep it in the
days.
fridge, you know.
I probably would always keep it in the fridge, actually, thinking about
Unless you live in Alaska.
Yeah, unless you're in really chilly weather.
Because I think you want a crisp top.
The chocolate
and
wants
you also
to be
want
crisp.
your caramel to be chilled, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't go rock solid in the fridge, the caramel. It still stays soft.
Because it's a beautiful texture, if I'm completely honest. And if you look in the show notes below, everyone, you can follow the link below and it'll take you to a post with all the full ingredients list on. And also on that ingredients list, you will find a link to a website which will help you specifically if you're in the US and you're looking for equivalent ingredients. So if there's anything on there that you don't quite recognise,
that's excellent.
There is a listing.
We do always get a lot of questions.
Well, we can only do so much, but you know, it was fairly extensive, this listing. So if you follow that link, so link below, that'll take you to all information. The gold edition of that episode will be out soon, and within the gold edition there will be the extended cut, but also all our research notes. And there's quite a lot of research notes when you consider the links to, I mean, how interesting that condensed milk only took off in the American Civil War. How interesting that then going home, going, folks, you've got to try this condensed milk because it's gorgeous. And then bang, it goes crazy. The world falls in love with it, and rightly so. So now it's time for us to find out what the Endy Bits are today.
Endy Bits,
oh,
everybody.
Yes. Now, climb every mountain. We're now climbing Kilimanjaro.
Wow.
Or at least Team Fines are.
Yes.
Team Cool haven't quite finished.
No.
But we're close.
The runners are still battling their way up Everest.
And I've noticed that quite a few people have filled their rucksacks, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, I know.
So if you want to join in, if you're a patron, you want to join in with the knit along, follow the link in the show notes below. If you're anyone and you want to come and join Team Cool, again, follow the link and you can come and help the walkers or the runners. We're not too far behind. We really aren't.
No.
I mean, by this time last year in the fog along, I think you guys were already around the world. And
Yeah. We lapped you a few times,
You did.
I think, didn't we?
Yes.
But it's much closer this time.
It is much closer.
It's just fun, isn't it, to be a bit closer?
Summer of Sorcery prizes.
Yes.
Kay's already covered one from the lovely jewels.
Yes.
But also, we have another pattern which has been added to the prize pot for the Summer of Sorcery, and it's the new pattern from Todd Michael Thomas.
Yes.
And it's the freezer burn hat, and it's lovely. It's a Colorwork hat. So that's gone into the prize pot too. So thank you so much, Todd. He's a new designer. He's brought out a few really lovely looking designs.
Yeah.
So it's great to see that one go into the pot too.
And then I've already shown you the piggy
Yes.
yarns. That's the prize. I've already done that.
Do you have anything?
I have got a couple of things just to show you.
Okay, before you show that, I will tell you that the next episode of the podcast will be 1 week later than normal. It will be on the 17th of August. Now, patrons, as we told you in the Patreon podcast on Sunday, don't fret because we have a wonderful live show for you on Sunday the 12th of August. So patrons, you can tune in on the private Facebook group at 2 p.m. British Summer Time on the 12th of August for a special Patreon podcast where we'll be talking all about our trip to the lakes. But the main show will be back 1 week later on the 17th of August, and that's mainly because we're filming possibly one of the best new adventures in the history of the world. This is something I did once when I was 16, and I've wanted to do it again since then, and it is the most epic adventure ever. Do not miss it.
Exciting.
It is exciting. It's the first time ever, actually, where, because I sit down and plan it all out and work out what we're going to film. I knew instinctively, because this is just stuff that I've always wanted. Do you know what? I said I did this one. I did not do what we're going to do because I didn't know that you could find some of the things that we're going to go and find.
Right.
So, we're going to be breaking new ground.
Right.
It's so extensive, we need 2 film crews. One being me and the other being Bryony and Kay. Show us.
See how well of a job I do. I've just got a couple of purchases. I bought some Drops Fable recently, and I've seen this colourway on a couple of podcasts. I think it was Sarah, Love Sock Wool. I think you were knitting this, and it's the lavender mix colourway of Drops Fable. I just think it's really nice. I wouldn't instantly have been drawn to this colour, but seeing it knit up, I really thought, oh, I'm going to grab some of that. So I was buying something else from Wool Warehouse, I forget what. I thought, oh, I'll stick a couple of those in my cart as well. I think they're like £2 a ball, they're really cheap. So I've got those, and then I thought for heels and toes, it might be nice to just have a cream in Drops Fable as well. So I got those. And then we were in the garden centre recently, and I saw this bag, this little bag, and I thought, oh, that's so cute, and just sort of fitted in with going away to the lakes for a few days. I saw this, and it's meant to be a children's bag for putting in like PE kit and things like that. Look, it's Peter Rabbit, and I love what he's saying. Life is one big adventure. I just thought that would be great for putting my knitting projects things. It's waterproof. Well, yeah, I think it would be waterproof actually. You just cinch it up and pop it over your shoulder. It's only like £5. So I picked up that. I think it's really cute. And then you will have seen behind you, I've had that sat there the whole episode. You're probably thinking, she's never going to tell us what that bright yarn is back there, but I am. This is some yarn that I actually bought a couple of months ago. My mum gave me some birthday money for my birthday, obviously. Gave me some birthday money.
That is up there.
Just randomly. That's up there with saying, did you give
it to her yet? My mum gave me some birthday money for my birthday.
And my mother's daughter, that's all I'm going to say.
I should hope you are.
Well, that's what they say, don't they? When you
That's another Irish saying.
When you're comparing yourself, that's what you say, don't you? When you do something similar.
What else would you be?
Well,
I'm my mother's daughter.
You know what I mean. But anyway, she gave me a lovely bit of money. And
What for?
what for? For my birthday. She gave me some birthday money for my birthday. And I'd seen this yarn. I think it came up on Instagram. Did it come up on Instagram? I can't remember where I saw it. I thought, oh my word, I'm going to go and look at that. And it's Madeline Tosh. I haven't bought any Madeline Tosh in years. And it's only because it's quite expensive to buy in this country. You can only get it from 2 or 3 shops. And this was in Loop. I've only seen this particular base in Loop in London. And they are particularly expensive, I find, Loop. But I'd got birthday money and I thought, and it was enough to buy what I wanted. So I thought, right, okay, I'm going to treat myself. And I just bought, at first I bought these 2 skeins. And it's new to me base. I don't know if this has been out for a while in America. I don't know. But it's Tosh Merino Light plus glitter. And I think it was called Halo on Loop's website. So it's 90% merino, 8% acrylic and 2% stellina. 420 yards, fingering weight. But the difference with the stellina is that, I think they call it holographic, it's all different colours. Oh, gosh, when I open this parcel. And I got these 2 colours in the same base. So I got Voodoo. Oh my goodness, look at this. Voodoo. And then I got this dark colour, which is Beta Crucis. I've no idea what that means. I'm probably saying it wrong. But this one is all, can you see? I'll hold them close. I don't know if the glitter's going to show. But it's all different colours. It does look kind of holographic. I thought, oh, 2 colour shawl, that would just be amazing. But then when I got them, I thought, do you know what? I'd quite like a 3rd colour. And I could see a sort of golden mustardy colour with it. They didn't do anything like that in this base. But they did have in the normal Tosh Merino Light, they had this one, which is called Brass. Oh, it's so beautiful. Look at the colours. So I've got these 3 now. 2 with the glitter and 1 just in a normal Tosh Merino Light. That I just thought, oh, I would love to maybe design something using these or not. You know, I might just use them for, you know, a normal personal sort of project. But they're just beautiful. And this base, I haven't been able to bring myself to knit with them yet, just because it's so pretty. And I just want to look at them in the skein, because I just think, oh, I mean, that one, you can probably see the glitter more in this one, I think, if I turn it. You see the little sparkles. Gosh, it's just beautiful. So I don't know if anybody else has experienced this yarn yet. It feels super soft. I can't feel the sparkle in it. You know, when you feel it like that without looking, I can't feel it. It's very, very fine. So, you know, it's finer than a normal stellina, I would say. It's gorgeous. So I've got those to just ponder over.
Done.
Done.
Cool. So, go away, make your Millionaire Shortbread.
Go away.
We'll see you in 3 weeks for episode 106.
Yeah.
And, well, just don't miss it. Don't miss it. It's going to be truly, truly epic. This is the episode of New Adventures which I wanted to film early for our 100th episode. Okay, I said, no, control yourself. We've had the peak then of Millionaire Shortbread, followed by this rather special.
And you could take some with you on this kind of thing, couldn't you?
Because you're going to need a backpack.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And some sturdy boots. Oh, yes. So thank you so much for watching. Patrons, there'll be tutorials and reviews and all sorts coming every Tuesday and Thursday. I was just actually thinking, as we were rolling into the summer period, I was feeling festive. And do you know why? Because this feels... I mean, we're nowhere near as, because we're literally every day with the Advent calendar, you know, 1 to 24, but getting everything slotted into place for the whole of the summer, which is what we do before the summer starts, it felt decidedly Advent calendar.
All right.
And, you know, we've got some great adventures coming up with the cardi, and, you know, there's all sorts happening at the moment, so it's super fun. But that's enough from us. See you in 3 weeks for more.
Thank you, everybody. Stay cool.
Yeah, definitely. Stay cool. Stay cool, man.
Bye.
Bye.
Who's it sitting and knitting? It's Dan and Kay, the bakery bears. Enthusiasm's not quitting for Dan and Kay, the bakery bears. They'll take you to fabulous places of which they're favorites they'll share. Bakery Bear. You'll find yourself in a castle while watching the Bakery Bears. It never feels like a hassle to sit and watch the Bakery